Good evening. Welcome to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting for January 16th, 2018. We'll begin with the salute to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Here.
Mr. Brasky? Mr. Hardy?
Here.
Here.
Mr. Rocco?
Here. Okay, apologize for the delay. We had an executive session before the meeting. Can we have a summary of the executive session, please, Mr. Clark?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. During the executive session, the board discussed several personnel matters and several matters of litigation and potential litigation.
Okay, thank you. Let the record show, too, Mr. Boraski had a work commitment this evening, so he's not able to be here. We have a couple of it's a neat way to these kind of meetings. Usually January meetings always a fun meeting because we get to have some great presentations. We have two this evening. We're going to begin with the graduation ceremony for the Citizens Police Academy, and I see Officer Yeager's here as well as Chief Wilcox to talk a little bit about the program, which we've been doing now for several years, and announce the participants.
So good evening, Board of Supervisors. Tonight I want to thank you on behalf of the Police Department for recognizing our most recent graduating class of the Falls Township Citizen Police Academy. We have put much effort into the curriculum of this program. Our objective is to be as transparent as we can in showing our citizens many aspects of law enforcement. We have designed the Academy to give a better understanding of why and how we do this job. I want to share with you the topics that we chose for the 2017 graduating class. We start with an introduction and an overview of the township and the police department. The citizens learned the hiring process and how and why searching for people of high character is so important. We shared a couple of cases with that our agency worked, use of force training, explaining the force continuum, and had some hands-on training with them. We had a drug investigation session, canines, traffic stops, interactive police scenarios. We had the citizens investigate a crime scene, and then the following week they told us the steps that they would have taken to solve the crime. We then shared what the crime was and the outcome. We had a morning down the range where they learned about SWAT and observed our sniper shooting from 100 yards and did room entries with paintball guns. We had an overview of our community policing programs. Finally, we finished with a shoot, don't shoot class, which allows them to put all their training together and decide if they should pull the trigger or not in a split second. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for allowing Chief Wilcox to bring this program to life. Over the years, our program has been very well received in the community. In fact, I have met with two neighboring police departments, and those two and a third have followed our lead and also have citizen police academies. Our officers have been very supportive, and when asked to give a block of instruction, they take the time to be totally prepared. The support staff of the department was a big help along the way, as was the role players, former attendees who come back to help. We will begin the 2018 class next September. Applications are on the Township website and can be picked up at the Police Department's records office. Again, gentlemen, thank you for your continued support involving community policing. Next, we will begin preparing for our fourth Youth Police Academy to be held this July. What I would like to do is just, I'm gonna call the names of the folks that attended this year, have them step up. Pat Lindemuth wants to give a short speech on behalf of everybody, and then if we could have a photo op with you guys, that would be great. So, Heather Greger, please come up. Kimberly Kozel. Lou Lindemuth. Pat Lindemuth. Sandra Sprickler. Michelle Rogers. Philip Martino. And Michael Ulinski. So Pat, if I could have you come over and
Should I say, is this thing on?
Good evening, members of the board, law enforcement, classmates, and all meeting attendees. My name is Pat Lungemuth, and I'm a Falls Township resident for 40 years. For those in attendance who may not know, Officer John Yeager has been the driving force of the Citizens Police Academy here in the township for a number of years, in addition to his many other duties and assignments. One shortcoming, he might have invited one of my younger colleagues to say a few words. I have a knee problem, and they might have gotten to the podium a little quicker. No worries, I'm 65 and I've befriended brevity. So, the Police Academy has been on my radar for a few years. My husband and I recently retired, and like most retirees, you're wondering what to do. So we decided to do the academy together, but we never anticipated the scope or the intensity of what we were about to experience. As supervisors, you are well acquainted with the content of the academy and have sat through other graduations, including the no-nonsense and demanding Youth Police Academy. We've watched it on YouTube. It's stunning. I won't reiterate the worthy content of both programs. Others before me have already done so. I do wish to speak to the unexpected and profound level of participation and commitment of all members of Falls Township law enforcement in support of Officer John Yeager and Lieutenant Nelsie Whitney's programs. Having met Chief Wilcox, it is apparent where this appreciation and commitment stems from, the top. His worthy encouragement and backing is wholehearted and soul-warming, and thank you, Chief, for that and much more. When encountering our law enforcement out in public, it is my husband's and my custom to thank them and their families for their service, their courage, and their sacrifices. And when I mention the Citizens Police Academy, I'm always met with accolades of recognition and praise for this endeavor, for the bridges it builds within the community of Falls and well beyond. What a source of pride and accomplishment for our township. If Officer John and Officer Nelson don't already know, as well as our supervisors do know, this academy has blossomed into something proactive, transparent, and forthcoming. To the particular officers who generously gave their time during this academy, Lieutenant Whitney, Sergeants Brian White and Chris Clark, Detective Sergeant Ray Finelli, Corporal Stephen Langen, and TAG. You all know TAG. Corporal Victoria Crozier, Officers Jim Marathi, and our prayers are with him and his family. Jared Eisenhower, Brian Fisher, and Leo. Alex Sansone and Michael Parnas, who gave me an 85-mile ride up Route 13 responding to a call. Administrative Assistant Gina Seiler, and all participating alumni. I was indeed saying we faster, so. All of the above listed their personal perspective and passion, greatly enhancing the impact of our police academy experience. As a citizen and recipient of the dedication and skill, it is humbling and centering to know that these fine folks are on our streets and behind the scenes, keeping a dutiful and watchful eye to our safety and well-being on a daily basis. To the last officer we encountered during the police academy, they reiterated their love of job and dedication to their brothers. In return, I can only offer my own simple thank you and resolve to be a more aware resident of the community. Now, I've always wanted to say this. I would like to thank the academy, my classmates. My classmates this fall were just awesome. Though we were a small number, that allowed a rather unique sharing and perspective as we worked cases, discussed strategy, and witnessed the scope and relevance of a program open to just average folks like ourselves. It has been a pleasure meeting and working along with all of you. The talents and the motivation you brought to class each week greatly enhanced my and each of our experiences. Officer Yeager and Lieutenant Nelson, sincerest thanks for your unselfish efforts and collaboration you have invested in this incredible program. The same thanks goes to Chief Whitney. I know I did that wrong. Chief Wilcox. You embody the heart and soul of a safe and progressive Falls Township, and we bless and we thank you. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Wants to stand up here, now you can just back up this way. Yeah, it might be easier.
Yeah, I'm taking the Sanchez and the Barbados out again in a couple of weeks. I did that last year. Pete was going to use his phone and all the pictures were going to be of his face. Whose camera's on?
And special thanks to all the participants, people who volunteered to go to take part in the academy. You know, certainly it wouldn't exist if you weren't volunteering to be in it. And you know, as a teacher myself, and I'm sure you know, Officer Yeager and the other officers and lieutenants involved would say, it's, you know, the more you do it, you know, the more you teach, the more you learn. And certainly, I'm sure they would agree that the more they do this, the sort of the better and better it gets. The more sort of things they see they can do, and so that wouldn't happen without you participating either. So thank you very much, and obviously thank Officer Yeager and Chief Wilcox, the entire police force for going through it and helping to spread the knowledge they have. And you know, we are a community. You know, obviously we have, you know, 52 officers on our police force. It's a pretty big township for 52 officers, but certainly with more people aware of what it takes to look out for, you know, issues of crime and suspicious, you know, situations or dangerous situations, it helps make their job easier. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey.
Okay, we also have some presentations tonight by Mr. Andrews, our Park and Rec Director, for our Holiday House Decorating Contest. So you have a lovely assistant this evening.
I do, Mr. Asplin from the Park and Recreation Board. That's a tough act to follow.
Yes, yeah.
Very pleased to be here to announce the winners for our 2017 Holiday House Decorating Contest. We had a third place through our first place winner, and we have a special presentation after that also in reference to the Holiday House Decorating Contest. So I'm going to announce the winners, ask them to come up. We have a certificate and a gift card from Wawa for each participant, a $20 gift card. A lot of coffee they can get there. I'm going to call them up, and then we'll do a photo op just like Officer Yeager did. So without further ado, the third place winner in the 2017 Holiday Spirit House Decorating Contest is Tom Polio of 261 Elderberry Drive. Just hang tight. Our second place winners are Izzy and Joe Marie Manzo from 236 Waltham Road.
J-E-T-S.
Hang tight. Okay, without further ado, the first place winner in the 2017 Holiday House Decorating Contest is Joe and Mary Lelinski of 9 Franklin Street. Everybody get a picture? Come on.
So, if you'll all go back.
Yeah.
Can we get the Wentz jersey between the Cowboys and the Jets? Who are they playing this week? I knew there was going to be. Come on, Brian.
corner of the table.
grab
there?
his phone.
Yep. Did you get on with your own camera, Mr. Gray?
Yes, I did.
He doesn't have his glasses on, so probably none of those are.
We have one more presentation in relation to this contest. As you well, most people are aware, this was the last year for the Willowwood Holiday House display. I think it was their 25th year, and I don't believe they're going to be doing it any longer. So the Park and Recreation Board and Parks and Recreation would like to issue a certificate of appreciation and thanks for all their hard work and serving the community to Neil DeSpirito from 1 White Spruce Lane in Elderberry. Willowwood. Yeah, sorry. I got
Sans helper crew.
25 years of taxation. Very much. Sure, you guys want to come up for
Yeah, bring the hooker up. I do.
12 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I think when we started this, yeah.
My daughter left your display.
I had a gift card. No free advertising. One more. Does he have your camera? All right.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
And yet, it's still less ridiculous.
See all the sayings on the back?
Yeah.
So special thanks to all those houses throughout the township who made the holiday season brighter, and obviously the winners this evening. Congratulations and thank you for all you do to literally make the season brighter. We certainly will miss the White Spruce show, but we understand certainly 25 years is a long time. So thank you for all the work you put in over the years. We appreciate it.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Andrews, and also Mr. Asplin. All right, so public comment, we don't have anybody on our sign-up sheet, so we'll go right to item number 2 on our agenda, which is presentation from Mr. Andrews.
I'm back. I'm real happy to be here to talk about 2018. We have a lot of things, a lot of oars in the water, as they say. We're very busy in our planning phases for a lot of our programs through the year. So I appreciate the opportunity to come share a little bit what we're doing, kind of where we're at, where we're going, that sort of thing. Kind of our State of the Union, almost a little bit. That time of the year, right? So first things first, I'm going to try to go chronologically. That's probably the easiest way. This upcoming Friday, the 19th, we're holding a Parents' Night Out activity night at Walt Disney Elementary. This is rescheduled. We usually do this right before Christmas as a way for parents to, get a couple extra hours, maybe to finish that shopping or just get a couple free hours from the kids. It was canceled due to inclement weather, so we have rescheduled it for this week. Kids come out, they do arts and crafts, play in the gym, play board games, etc. And so it's a really good time. We're looking for more registrations. We have a couple more days. We've been, posting it out there. We have about 10 registered participants right now. So we're really looking forward to that. Second item is we're getting to that point of the year, our online registrations for the Pinewood Pool and our summer camp program will go online as of the 1st of February. So an early bird discount period for Pinewood Pool, for the Pinewood Pool registration period will be February 1st through April 1st. That's pretty consistent each year. That's the discount period. If you sign up in between those 2 months, you get a good deal. The summer camp this year, it's going to be Monday, June 25th through Friday, August 3rd. The camp will be held at Walt Disney Elementary School this year. We got confirmation on that last week. Currently, we have all in-house entertainment booked, and all trips with the exception of one. We're looking to do a tour of Lincoln Financial Field, hopefully to celebrate a Super Bowl, hopefully. With the exception of that trip, we're in pretty good shape. Camp's pretty much lined up. 90 to 95% of our staff are returning. It's a great staff. I'm really happy for that. And any in-house and any openings we foresee with camp, some kids might change their mind, might get another opportunity. We're able to promote from in-house. And that's the success of the junior counselor and the counselor in training program. The counselors in training and the junior counselors have really basically been hands-on, learning how to work with the kids, and these are the kids we want to promote from within instead of having to go outside. And it keeps the continuity and the integrity of the camp strong and where we want it to be. So we're really excited about that. For Pinewood Pool in 2018, we have a lot of programs we're looking to implement. We're going to have 5 youth splash nights, 2 movie nights, the senior breakfast. We're going to do a couple of dollar dog days. We're going to bring in a hot dog cart for dollar dogs. We're going to have a family appreciation day that we have each August. We have a balloon artist come in. We have a strolling magician who comes in, performs. And we're going to have a couple theme days, like maybe a Fiesta Day. We did a luau day last year. It was really popular, so we might go to Fiesta Day, and we might do both this year. And in July, I've noted a date off the top of my head, it's National Ice Cream Day. First 125 people that come to the pool today get a free ice cream sandwich. So if anybody's around, come on in. Be excited. As far as staffing for the Pinewood Pool, our assistant manager and head lifeguard, they've moved on, so we are currently aggressively recruiting from external and internal sources, to fill those positions. We're looking for anybody with experience, especially for the assistant manager. It's a very crucial position. The pool manager's not there; they take over. So we're looking for external candidates and potentially internal candidates. So, and we're going to pick the best one. That could very well, come from within the existing staff. In addition to that, our head lifeguard moved on, so we have a position for that. That's going to be filled exclusively from internal candidates. We have 6 lifeguards interested in the position. We got interviews lined up over the next couple of weeks, so it's very likely they'll move into that position and, potentially into that assistant manager position. So, and we got a great staff down there, so we're going to get a strong candidate, whether it's external or internal. Additionally, we're looking for several lifeguards this year. We've had some lifeguards move on, as I said. There's always some turnover with staff. We choose not to ask back. We want to put the best staff forward for our patrons. So we're looking to hire anywhere between 5 to 7 lifeguards and 3 to 4 desk attendants for up front. So if any teenagers are out there and the parents hear about this, tell them to come up and fill in an application. We would love to talk to them, looking for a summer job. It's a great pool. It's a great atmosphere. It's a great staff. I enjoy being there throughout the summer, and the staff does too. They really like to be there. So good opportunities there. While I'm on aquatics, we're working a relationship out with the YMCA on Oxford Valley Road. They're offering a swim lesson program here in the spring. And I was talking with some of the management over there, and the idea came up. Safety in pools are paramount. So anytime we can help our residents with a potential program, we would like to do that. We offer swim lessons at the pool in the summer, but this is something in the spring. It's a 10-week program. It's $80 it's $10 a week. So it's 80 over 8 weeks. And that rate is a special rate for Falls residents who are not members of the Y. Obviously, the Y members get the lowest rate. We're basically in the middle of that. So there's an incentive for Falls members to sign up their children or adults for this program. And the deal we worked out, we would get a 30% commission. We're basically the middleman, forward them to the Y, and we can help any of our residents learn how to swim, be safer in the water, with a lot of pools in homes these days too. I just think that's a great opportunity we couldn't turn down. So really excited about that. The Geese Harassment Geese Harassment Program, one of your favorite programs, Mr. Dents. We have the Border Collie program is slated to begin beginning of March. It's a 10-week program. That's where the Border Collies come out regularly throughout the week, harass the geese off the fields. The additional program with SNS Wildlife, I think we'll be talking about that probably at the meeting next month going forward. So, but those plans are in place. We want to continue that program. So I just wanted to touch on that, let you know where we're going there potentially. A fall photo contest. We had some issues with the electronic online submissions. Basically what happened is we chose the winners at our December Park and Rec Board meeting, but there's a lot of duplicates that come in of the same in the different categories, and essentially the pictures aren't matching up with the correct contact information. So Matt, Markey, and I think we got it pretty much figured out. We should have that figured out by the end of the week so we can notify the winners, and we'd like to bring them to the next meeting in February. The Easter egg hunt and breakfast at the Bunny will take place on Saturday, March 24th from 9 to 12 down at the Senior Center. The breakfast takes place from 9 to 11 a.m. Pre-registration is required. The maximum is $125. We'll be putting that up online at the beginning of February also for people to register for that event. The capacity there is 125. We have to purchase food for that, so we targeted that number, and those events tend to fill up very quickly. The egg hunt, anyone can come to. That'll take place from 11 to 12 on the site of the Senior Center. So we're able to do both events in the same area, and we've been doing that for the last 2 years, and that's worked out very well. So we're really excited about that. And we're looking for a bunny, too, for the cost if anybody's interested. The following event coming up a few weeks after that is the Earth Day celebration event. This will be our 4th year doing it. We're going to be partnering with Comcast Cares once again. This year's project is going to be focused at the community park, specifically at the community garden expansion. We're going to be building new boxes, the plots to expand that garden. We're going to have some people working on that. We're also going to be planting some trees over by the skate park that are going to be donated, which will help to reduce the sound, to the neighbors over there from the skateboard. We're looking for some evergreen trees, something in that family. So that's going to be part of the project. And just a general cleanup, specifically around Phase 1, behind 13 there, we get a lot of trash coming in that time of the year, and down into Phase 1, by the soccer field. So we're looking forward to that event. That's a 10-to-1 deal on the 21st of April. Following week after that is it'll be the 2nd annual Touch a Truck event. We held that last year. I think most of you were there. It was really successful. Reached out to many of the companies that brought vehicles last year. They're all excited to do so once again. I think this event will be even better than last year. I already have a face painter book. We're going to probably get a food vendor for it, a DJ, that sort of thing. We'll have some giveaways for the kids like we did last year. We'll probably have to get more. We ran out quick last year. But it was a first-year event. That happens. First time doing something. You learn, you live and you learn, and you get better. So I'm looking forward to that one personally. In May, there'll be our annual Fishing Derby on Memorial Day. That takes place from 8 to 11 a.m. It's the kids fish from 8 to 10. We give out prizes for the most fish caught, largest fish caught. And we also have a casting contest where we give prizes. We partner with Bart's Bait and Tackle from Tullytown. They donate a lot of stuff, a lot of prizes, and they provide the bait for the kids. So that's always a great event. I know, those of you who've been there, it's a good time. The kids really enjoy it. We get a lot of response from the local Boy Scouts come out. They really have a great time. So
Club too, right? They volunteer.
The fishing club, yes. Yeah, the fishing club volunteers to measure fish, and they've been a big help. Because one of my first years, it was myself and I think Lainey Strylick and her daughter running all over the community park lake trying to measure fish. So they do a great job, those guys. Plus, they do regular cleanups, too.
The new fishing pier may be ready.
Yeah. I was going to ask Mr. Sullivan about that later, but that's okay. And going into that's the Q for the Troops Family Festival. That's going to be Friday. The 1st will be the Q, and the 2nd will be the Family Festival. I have a lot of things lined up for the Family Festival. Obviously, I've contacted the Bouncy House Company. We're good to go there. We're also looking to do face painting. We're going to go with a DJ this year, a strolling magician. bring a petting zoo in this year, and potentially a video game truck where the kids come in. We're going to do that for camp too. That's a very popular thing that's going through nowadays. So we have a lot of ideas for that event. So I'm really excited about that this year. And obviously it culminates in fireworks on Saturday night. Following week after that is the Delaware Valley Flag Memorial. That's a great event. That's a 3-day event. We've been hosting that. I think this will be the 33rd year, if I'm not mistaken.
Of the event.
Of the event. Of the event. Yeah, I know. Yeah, and those guys it's a great group to work with. We love hosting that event. If you ever been out there to plant flags the day of, I try to get down there for a little while each year. It's pretty unbelievable. And if you've seen that site down there, I know Mr. Harvey is there each year, and it's really a site to undertake. We're real proud that we can be involved in that. So that's June 8th through June 10th. And the following Sunday, we start our summer concert series. That starts Sunday, June 17th. The first act will be the Dennis Stostopovitz Band. They're going to be opening us up this year. We have some great acts this year, some new acts. We're focusing on some genres. We're going to bring in some Irish music, some salsa, Latin band. People give us requests all the time, so we're trying to mix it up a little bit. And our favorites, we have the Uptown String Band's a favorite. Dennis's group, Point Blank. It's going to be a good lineup this year. It's a 13-week lineup this year, and that'll run through September 9th. That's every Sunday night, 6 to 8 at the community park under the pavilion by the soccer fields. For this summer, we've been doing adult kickball league for the last several summers. I'm leaning towards possibly doing a children's kickball league this year. I might just do an adult league tournament, similar to one we do on around Thanksgiving. Want to try to maybe focus on the kids and maybe work with some neighboring townships. I've been talking with some parks and rec directors in this area, maybe coming up with a quasi lower bucks league, maybe like a travel type of thing. So I'll know more. I got to meet with those directors and talk a little more about that. I'll probably have a little more information in about another month or so, if anybody's interested in hearing about that. Now, I'll try to get that in the newsletter if we can. All this stuff will be in the newsletter, obviously. And one activity I'd love to bring back, I was in discussions with Mr. Gray, and I've talked with Chief Wilcox, Officer Yeager, and even Rich DiPolito. We'd like to get involved with National Night Out again here in Township. This year, it's Tuesday, August 7th. We're looking to do something from 6 to 9 p.m. down at the park. I'm going to be meeting with Officer Yeager, Chief Wilcox, Rich. I have some ideas for what we can do that night. I want to get their input. So there'll be more information coming out about that. A lot of our neighboring township municipalities hold this event. I know Middletown does. I think it'd be great for Falls to get back in the game there. And we have a great facility, the park, to do it. That is scheduled for August 7th from 6 to 9. I have a rain date of that Friday, August 10th. So I'll know a little more after I meet with those gentlemen and come up with some ideas, and we'll fill everybody in. And finally, the Quaker Penn Open Space Improvement Grant. I got a call last week. We should be receiving the funds, the check, very soon for that. I'd like to thank Ms. Gallagher. She got the paperwork over for that, and would really like to get moving on that once we get the funds in. That's obviously building a new playground down there, installing that compost toilet facility, cleaning up that riverfront a little bit. Because I think we have a lot of potential down there. We have a park on the river down there. We can get more families renting that pavilion. It lacks a bathroom facility and a playground, which is what we always get asked about. And our community park pavilions, they get booked up. They start calling us January. As soon as you guys pass the fee schedule, they're calling us. So we're looking at it as a viable option for people. So I think with those improvements, that'll come a long way. So this pretty much takes us through the summer, which is our busy time of the year. So a lot of oars in the water, as you say right now, a lot of plans, to formulate. So, but I think we're in pretty good shape going forward. So, anybody, any questions?
No, any questions or comments?
Yeah. Last year, I think it was last year, year before, I spent some time at the pool because my son worked there as a lifeguard, and there was a little bit of a desire to have extended weekends in September. I think there was a petition floating around
There
somewhere.
was.
Did we, I forget, did we look into that?
That's a very difficult. The problem is we lose a lot of guards mid-August to go back to college.
Right.
So we get low there, and now they're going back to high school. And some of our kids have jobs during school year. So to get the coverage that we would need it's challenging.
Okay.
And that's something you have to implement right off the get-go. Because I know a couple years ago when that came up, that got talked about towards the end of the summer. It's a little late in the game
Right.
to get these kids to commit to that. That would be something that would have to start, I guess, from a time like right now. You can say, hey, we're going to be extending the pool season. Who can commit? Because you got to have enough staff to open a pool. Even with that, I think you'd have to restrict hours a little bit. Obviously, it gets darker earlier and stuff like that. It was an idea. There's some challenges with it, but I never say no to anything.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure I
Yeah.
brought it up, and
Absolutely.
it's really a staff. It's more of a staffing issue than
It
anything else,
is.
sounds like.
It is, and then you got to, you might have to order more chlorine.
That's the other problem is you have to
there
operate
is.
the pool all week
Right.
to use it on.
Yeah, you're paying the public works guys are there every day through the summer. So, and then if you have a problem, over there, then they're coming in, and you're extending. It gets budgetary and operations and budgets, obviously, like everything, especially with a pool. It can be substantial.
Understood. I wanted to bring it up.
Not a problem. I hear about it every summer.
Okay. I think every pool has the same thing,
Absolutely.
Pool's closed Labor Day and it's still 90 degrees out.
Right.
Yeah, you run into that. It always ends up being 95 degrees the day after you close for about a week or two. It's just being in the business this long. It's the way it always works. So and that's where you get a lot of that kick. This year was a weird one. It was, if you remember, it was 60 degrees and rainy in August. It was unbelievable this year. Then the weather just flipped. So we weren't getting anybody in August when you think you should be getting them. So.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Brian.
Good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank
All
you
good.
very much, appreciate
No
it.
problem. Anybody have any questions? Let Mr. Gray know. I'd be more than happy to. All right. Have a great night.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, item number 3, wanted to have some discussion, just to open discussion here, about fireworks in the township. Several years ago, there was a law passed in Pennsylvania that allowed fireworks to be sold but not used in Pennsylvania, which didn't make any sense to me or a lot of other people. Well, the law has changed again to sort of open up even more possibilities. We do get routinely, obviously in the summertime, especially around the holidays, we get complaints about fireworks. We know we had a tragedy. Thankfully, no one was injured, just on Stevens Drive just last year with some kids who set off fireworks in someone's garage and actually burned the house down. Now, again, fortunately, no one was injured, but those were just ordinary fireworks. That wasn't anything special. That was just ordinary the run-of-the-mill things that kids used, and unfortunately, they thought they were having fun and threw it inside a garage and kind of ran away. And again, thankfully, nobody was injured. But for the family that lost their home, it was a night that certainly they'll never forget. So Ms. Gallagher knows quite a bit about the new law, and I don't know, we've had some discussion. We had some discussion earlier with, or I did anyway, with our fire marshal, Mr. DiPolito, who has some concerns about this new law. So Ms. Gallagher, just give us an idea of what the new state law does in terms of fireworks, in terms of changing the landscape.
Sure. So, Mr. Harvey, as you noted, the existing state of Pennsylvania law was a bit strange in that it permitted the sale of these fireworks within the Commonwealth, but not to any residents of Pennsylvania. What this law does is it opens up the sale of consumer fireworks to Pennsylvania residents. It does not open up the sale or the use of display fireworks, which are the more theatrical fireworks that come with 4th of July and other types of those celebrations. So consumer fireworks are defined under the American Pyrotechnics Association standards. Includes things like ground or handheld sparkling devices, cone fountains, illuminating torch, aerial devices such as skyrockets and bottle rockets, missile-type rockets, helicopter and aerial spinners. Those types of items are now going to be permitted to be sold within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to Pennsylvania residents, and they're also going to be permitted to be used within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The law does prohibit their use within 150 feet of an occupied structure, so that would prevent the use of these types of devices in the vast majority of neighborhoods and residential uses within the township, as well as the bulk of the Commonwealth. So this, it is a summary offense if anybody does violate that. Law also says that fireworks cannot be thrown from a building or car, cannot be thrown into or at a building or car, or at a person. So that's the basic statutory framework. So we're currently in the process of reviewing the interplay between this and the international fire codes, which the township has adopted, which have other restrictions as far as permitting and that type of thing with regard to consumer fireworks. And again, this just applies to the consumer type of fireworks.
Okay. Yeah, as you said, the bigger fireworks usually have the theatrical style that, you see on Penn's Landing, or what we have on Community Day, the real big show. That's a completely different, kind of animal.
Right.
You need professional licensed people to do all that. So we're not talking about those kinds of things. Comments or questions or thoughts from board members from Ms. Gallagher, or just in general?
No questions. Thank you.
No.
So this just legalizes buying of them, right? Doesn't change.
It also allows the use of them within the Commonwealth under certain restrictions. And the big one is that 150 feet of an occupied structure. So it does allow.
Definition of an occupied structure.
The statute itself does not define that, but we would turn to all the building codes, which essentially mean if there's a person inside that structure, then it's occupied. If it's habitable but there's nobody in there, it likely would not constitute an occupied structure.
Okay.
So if my neighbor's not home, I can set off fireworks within 150 feet of his house.
As long as there's no other occupied structures. And again, we're still looking at the fine tuning of this. This is a very recent law, so there hasn't been anything in the way of courts looking at this, or all these municipalities are just trying to figure out what this means and whether or not there's anything that can be done in addition to this.
And we can enforce this now. What is it currently, our current ordinance?
Our current ordinances prohibit the use of fireworks in the township-owned parks. That is not affected by this ordinance or this statute. We can continue to enforce that as we did before. We can begin enforcing this statute via the summary offense citation should anyone violate this. And we can continue to enforce all the fire codes that are in place. But like I said, we're trying to make sure that we're dotting I's and crossing T's about the interplay between this statute and the fire code.
Right. And it just passed, so, I mean, it's winter, so people aren't lighting, they're not lighting fireworks off now, but maybe when the weather
Eagles
gets.
win the Super Bowl, they will be.
When the Eagles do what? So I guess, if we could get in front of it, that would be good.
Right.
Yeah, it certainly seems like a mess that it doesn't seem to jibe at all with the fire code,
Right.
which is saying one thing and this is saying something different.
Right.
It certainly would put, for example, our police officers in a tough spot if, on the one hand, you have the fire marshal saying, well, they're violating the fire code, but on the other hand, there's this Pennsylvania law that they wouldn't necessarily be violating.
Well, this statute makes a violation a summary offense, which falls under the umbrella of the crimes code. And if it was a fire code violation, that would fall under the umbrella of a building code violation.
Okay.
So they are different statutory schemes, so they may not completely dovetail, but we're going to see whether or not there's some interplay or whether there's any preemption from this statute to the building codes that we've adopted.
Yeah, and it just obviously doesn't, the idea of not setting them off near an occupied structure and then defining an occupied structure as a structure with somebody in it seems kind of ridiculous, in the sense that, even if it was a home, obviously we have some homes that still haven't been empty pretty much since the Great Recession, and other properties in the township that have sort of been vacant and no one's been in them. They certainly could catch on fire just as easily as any other building can catch on fire, and the fire department would get called like they would for any house or building, and firemen risking their lives to put out a fire started by firework. And to me, it shouldn't really matter if it's an occupied or unoccupied structure.
Right, and there's certainly an argument to be made that if a UNO has been issued for a structure, that it is occupied for
occupied.
purposes of the law.
Right.
But again, these are things that have not been fleshed out since it was passed.
Yeah, so, well, let's leave it to Harrisburg. Okay, any other comments or questions? I know obviously we're going to sort of stay on top, but we're not taking any action at the moment. We just thought it was important to have a discussion and let the people, the township know. And I know Mr. DiPolito has said he's already gotten some calls from people asking about how this is going to affect things. And, you know, certainly he's not really in favor of it. He has a lot of concerns, and we do too. So we hear the concerns. We're looking to see what we can do within the current law to sort of make sure that we can protect the health, safety, and welfare of the residents and business owners and people of Falls Township. So thank you. Appreciate that. All right, item 4 is appointments to various boards, commissions, and councils. Board did have, or does have some, we made some appointments at our first meeting earlier this month. And we do have a couple people who have expressed some interest in being appointed. I know as liaison to the Environmental Advisory Council, Eileen Donahue and John Bentz have both been members and would like to be reappointed. And so I will make a motion to reappoint each of those individuals to terms on the EAC.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I know that with the Planning Commission, we have Mr. Hughes, who his term has expired. He wants to be reappointed. And then we have another vacancy for on the Planning Commission.
Several letters.
And we have several letters, yeah. Is there a motion to reappoint Mr. Hughes to Planning?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And I did reach out to the two people who sent in letters early. Mr. Crow, who actually is here this evening, and Mr. Person, who I know from the EAC. And I did talk to Mr. Person, and he actually told me, Mr. Person did, that since he's already on the EAC, he would like to be, on planning as well, because he's interested in getting involved. But if somebody else who isn't on a board already has put in for planning, he'd be fine, allowing that person to take that seat. We just got another one today, I think, that came in. So I don't know what board members want to do. Mr. Crow's letter came in a while ago, and again, he is here this evening. If anybody wanted to sort of let him talk a little bit about his thoughts, or
I think we can appoint him.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to appoint Ed Crow.
Okay.
Planning Commission.
Seconded.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. For Police Pension Committee, I think Mr. Roach is interested in being reappointed. I think we have a letter somewhere. Do we have that? I thought we did. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
All right. So is there a motion to reappoint Mr. Roach to the Police Pension Committee?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then with the Park and Rec Board,
Actually, I had the opportunity to speak to somebody. I don't know if you did.
one of there's
Two,
two.
they're a little bit older. His name is Brian Phillips.
Okay. No, I didn't talk to him. I talked to Mr. Conklin, and there was a woman who sent an email,
Horn.
Mrs. Horn, who I spoke to both of them over the last couple days. So, I don't know I don't know if you had a chance to speak with them or not.
I have not, no.
Okay.
And I don't know if Brian was on the last list. He had put in like a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know some of the people, after a while, we decided just to sort of make a
Yeah.
cut in terms of who we were taking. Oh, yeah, we have a letter or an email from Mrs. Horn as well.
Mhm.
And so I guess, we can certainly
Come back to that.
revisit it next month if we want to talk to, have a chance to talk to those individuals, or we can even have them come in at some point if we want to schedule something to talk to the three of them. Okay. All right. I think those were the vacancies. I don't think there were any others. I reached out to a couple other people, but never got calls back. So, okay. All right. If there's any other appointments?
No, sounds good.
Okay. All right. So minutes, we have two sets of minutes, one from December 19th, one from January 2nd. Is there any, or are there any concerns or questions or issues with the minutes from December 19th?
No.
Okay, is there a motion then to approve the December 19th minutes as presented?
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
Abstained, I wasn't here.
Yep. Okay, minutes from our last meeting, January 2nd, 2018. Any comments, questions, corrections?
Excellent minutes as always, Mrs. Pullen.
Okay, if not, is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, engineers report. Okay, Mr. Sullivan, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. What was
This'll
the
be-
date of that fishing derby again?
This will be nice and smooth.
Yeah, this is going to go well. I have two items I would like to discuss this evening. One, of course, is the fishing pier. Our contractor, ABC Construction, had hired a subcontractor to do the carpentry work on two occasions. Then when they were supposed to show up, they didn't. So they're making other arrangements, and they'll have another crew, they tell us, on Monday. So hopefully.
This coming Monday?
This coming Monday.
Because we have a video from, I think, when we awarded it, and your exact words were that it was going to be done, I don't know if it's going to work.
The contractor has assured us that he will be done with the fishing pier before Christmas. That'll be on about the 22nd.
Yeah. Did you mean 2018 or?
The contractor has assured
Yeah.
us. I think you cut the video short, because after that, I think I said something to the
exact
effect that
words.
I don't believe that's going to happen.
December 22nd.
Yeah, on or about December 22nd, so I guess the about
Before
is more correct.
Christmas.
That was their plan. It apparently didn't come together.
This should be done by spring, I hope, before the fishing derby.
I believe it will.
How
yes,
much,
sir.
I mean, honestly, how much work is it? A week, 2 weeks?
It's probably 2 or 3 weeks worth of work. If they're supposed to have a 3-man crew out there, they should be able to knock that out in 2 to 3 weeks.
The pylons are done.
Yes, all the pilings are in.
Okay.
We've been there for a while,
You're just sitting there.
patiently waiting for the deck crew to show up. The other item is the Quaker Penn Park boat ramp. Apparently 4 of the piles are completely gone. They are missing. And the other ones on the right-hand side have been severely damaged by all the ice flow coming down the Delaware River. Mr. Gray has notified our insurance company that we filed a claim. Those piles will have to be replaced, especially the ones that aren't there. And the other ones, I think they're probably damaged beyond repair. We're looking at other options to try to make this never happen again. One idea we had was perhaps putting a sleeve into the riverbed so the piles can be put in and taken out, as well as the docks. And that way we would avoid having any of the piles smashed again.
So every year we would take them out?
Yes.
Well, that makes sense, but what would you do? Plug the sleeve?
Yeah, we'd have to cap the sleeve and probably, put some kind of a through bolt to make sure that the piles didn't float up and down with the tides.
I didn't witness this time.
The problem is, every time we have to move a pile, we can't put it back in the same place. So then the dock has to be modified so that the sleeve that goes around the pole and holds the dock in place has to move.
The first time they were damaged was because of a boat in
Yeah.
the frozen river. This time was because when the ice melted, the way that everything shifted down the river. I mean,
Yeah.
I drove home in New Jersey on Friday, and the fog on the river was unbelievable. And I went to the Yardley boat ramp to take pictures. The next morning, I went back to the Yardley boat ramp, and it was piles of ice 6 feet high that I took pictures again. It was actually unbelievable that happened overnight. So I would imagine that that's exactly what happened, just piles of ice floating down the river.
Yeah, we do have some pictures that show exactly that. Ice piled up against our pilings. Yeah, there could have been a boat intervention as well. We just don't know. We didn't see it this time. But there's still lots of ice on the river.
And I think it's worth noting, just the original design for the boat ramp did not have it going into the river. It had it sort of going into the little cove.
Yeah, we had it in the cove. It would have been out of the actual,
Yeah.
channel.
And we were
This is-
forced to move it by the Army Corps, I think
Yes.
it was.
That's correct.
So,
Mud flats
Yes.
in the cove were the problem.
So at this point, will it be ready when do we put them in usually?
We're gonna, we have until March 15th to replace them.
Oh, and then we have to wait until
Then we have to wait till
spawning's over or
either July 1st or July 31st before we can actually do it.
something? Right, and last time we were able to put in
One half,
one
right,
half,
one
right,
side.
yeah. So,
Yeah, if we can salvage the ones on the right-hand side, we might be able to put that dock in while we work on the other one. This is stuff we haven't looked at yet. We just noticed today how bad it was.
okay, and the insurance company will cover it?
Yes, we were in contact with Travelers today, so we are working on getting the replacement money to get the repairs done.
I wonder how many times you're gonna.
That's what I'm wondering. Okay.
And you're working on a new design.
Yes.
And will that cost more money every year, taking them in and out?
Theoretically, it would cost a little bit more money, but I don't see it being a huge deal to take the poles out at the same time you take the docks out.
We'll need a public works boat, I guess, right?
Well, we usually hire a
hire
subcontractor to
someone,
take
yeah.
them
I
out.
was joking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get the pilings out with a pile chain. It's pretty simple.
Okay, any other questions, Mr. Sullivan?
None.
Is there a motion then to accept the engineer's report, which is dated January 11th, 2018?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, bill list is the amount of $1,583,073.45. Of that, 1.5 million, 1.3 million, excuse me, it's almost 1.6 million. Of that almost 1.6, about 1.3 is salary and benefits. And of the remaining roughly 300,000, roughly 50,000 of that is state funding for highway aid and crime prevention, and also escrow funds from developers. So, it's kind of an interesting bill list in terms of you're breaking it down into like just 2 or 3 things, and you've got about 95% of the bills. Comments or questions for Mr. Gray regarding the bills?
None.
Okay, is there a motion to pay the bills, $1,583,073.45?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay, had an executive session earlier. Police Department report. Chief Wilcox.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, staff, good evening. I would like to start off this evening with our most important part of our information is the condition of Officer Marathi. We were just informed this morning that his condition has improved, which is a real miracle. I would ask that anybody who views this during the week, the staff, everybody continue to pray for Officer Marathi. He's not out of the woods yet, but let's keep praying and hoping. With that, let me start off. I have a little bit of agenda here tonight. We have Coffee with a Cop scheduled at our senior citizens for February. Mrs. Murphy hasn't given us a date yet, but she will. And as soon as I get that date, we'll post it on Facebook, in the Courier Times, and any other media outlet we have. We have the Chief for a Day program has started once again. We started last week. We have our second Chief for a Day tomorrow. Our Chief for a Day program is from Eleanor Roosevelt School tomorrow. We're now making preparations for reaccreditation for the spring of this year. As you gentlemen know, we've been accredited police department since 2003, and every 3 years we have to reaccreditate. So our staff is working on it, and hopefully we'll have the mock in early spring, and then we'll have the reaccreditation sometime in late spring. Again, this year we plan to heavily enforce our traffic throughout our municipality with the intention to reduce accidents. Our accident rate did greatly reduce from last year. I'll give you the numbers in a minute here. And our fatals went from 7 to 2, which is a good thing. Drug enforcement continues throughout our municipality, working in conjunction with other municipalities and boroughs, with the DEA, FBI, and other federal agencies that work with our guys here. Now, these numbers may be a little bit boring, but I have to give them to you. Our calls for service last year were 18,785, about a little bit less than what we had the year before. Our accidents dropped. We had 1,307 accidents. Our fatalities went from 7 to 2. And I'd like to think that we issued 4,182 citations. 1,297 were non-traffic, the rest being traffic citations. Our medical calls were 1,924. 116 of those were overdoses, and we had 20 deaths. I would like to think that we only had 20 deaths because of our use of Narcan. With that being said, we just got a major grant of over $50,000 to replenish our Narcan.
Do we know what we spent on Narcan last year?
Pardon?
Do we know what we spent on Narcan last year?
I don't have that, but that was all given to us.
So we've never bought it?
No, we've never bought it.
Okay.
It was all given to us. And because of our active use and how is experienced and lucky we've been using this, and they went to Lieutenant Whitney and they gave us another grant.
Excellent.
Our DB, they were assigned 397 cases, 282 criminal. We had a total clearance of 126 with a 44.68 clearance. That's phenomenal. That is a phenomenal clearance when a good clearance runs anywhere between 15 and 20. We were up in the 44% bracket. And cleared by arrest was over 25%, which is another great. Our guys in DB, one detective alone, through very aggressive police work, solved 42 cases of thefts from automobiles himself. And that was through diligent police work. Gentlemen, finally, I'd like to wish, on behalf of myself and the entire police department, I'd like to wish you a happy and prosperous new year.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Questions for the Chief?
No.
No.
Okay.
No? Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I will just add, obviously, we've been kept in contact, updated really by Chief Wilcox and our manager, Pete Gray, regarding the health of one of our officers, Jim Marathi. Officer Marathi suffered or has a health issue not really connected to his job, so I don't want people thinking there was some sort of, act that, violence against the police officer that led to that. It's a different kind of unrelated sort of health issue that he's going through, and obviously wish him the best, and it's good to hear that he's doing better. So, and let's look at manager comment. Mr. Gray?
Yes, thank you. Just a few items tonight. My first item concerns a backflow preventer. Rich DiPolito has secured 3 quotes for a backflow preventer in the Township building for the fire sprinkler system. This backflow preventer is to be installed per DEP requirements. The pipes for the domestic water in the Township building have been determined to be adequate. This backflow preventer is necessary to prevent any contaminants from entering the water supply. The quotes secured by Rich are as follows. Advanced Sprinkler Technology, $11,812. KE Seifert, $12,166.36. And Pennsylvania Water Specialties, $15,523. The board is asked to consider Advanced Sprinkler Technology for installation of a backflow preventer at the Township building for the fire sprinkler system.
Okay, comments or questions?
None.
Okay. Public comment? I see no hands. Is there a motion then to approve or to go with Advanced Sprinkler Technology, $11,812 for the backflow preventer?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
The Township received a proposal from an attorney named Greg McCarthy to assist our Labor Counsel, Jordan Yeager, with a personnel matter. The board is asked to consider the proposal from Mr. McCarthy.
Okay. All right. Board members have a summary here of Mr. McCarthy and also his proposal. This is relatively brief. It's just we think just a matter of a few hours of work he's going to be doing.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Is there a motion then to authorize the retention of Mr. McCarthy through our Labor Council?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The Township received a letter from Mr. Sullivan regarding escrow release number 2 for St. Joseph's Court. Mr. Sullivan is recommending a release of $113,891.40. The board is asked to consider this escrow release for St. Joseph's Court.
Okay. Comments or questions?
No.
No? And I will note that I talked to Mr. Gray earlier, and I'm a little embarrassed. I never thought of this before. But in the future, whenever we have multiple escrow releases, we only have one tonight. We're just going to do them all at once. We'll just kind of present them instead of voting individually. So is there a motion to approve escrow release number 2 for St. Joseph's Court?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
The township had a state of emergency beginning 6 a.m. Thursday, January 4th, 2018, through 6 a.m. Friday, January 5th, 2018, due to the recent storm. Per the township ordinance, a local emergency can be called subject to ratification by the Board of Supervisors at their next regularly scheduled meeting. At this time, the board is asked to approve the state of emergency.
Okay, comments or questions?
No.
Is there a motion to approve the state of emergency?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Just want to announce the following businesses that were approved to open operations in the township during the month of December 2017. They include the Christmas Tree Stand located at 375 West Trenton Avenue, Rite Aid 547 West Trenton Avenue, Dollar General 1279 Bristol Pike, and Great Clips located at 833 West Trenton Avenue, Suite 5. Also, I just want to announce that the AccuFire Mylars are ready for signature. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. All right, board comment. Mr. Galloway?
No, just that, just an observation going around before the Eagles game last week. It's one of those rare times when you feel a heightened sense of community, and it's a wonderful thing. And I hope the Eagles do well, and fly, Eagles, fly. Thank you.
Mr. Rocco, you gonna echo those comments?
Only if you are. I'm a Steelers fan. So, no, I have no comment. Good luck, Eagles.
You guys are too much.
Mr. Clark, you echo those comments or not?
I'm still waiting
Yes,
for
of
the
course you
Jets
will.
to...
Still waiting for the Jets? Yeah?
But no.
Does Namath still play for them?
I think he might.
Yeah,
He might be better than what we've had the last couple of years.
Mr. Dents?
Yes. Just want to wish everyone a happy new year. And I wanted to comment on the snow emergency. We had a lot of feedback, several emails we received, and a lot of feedback on social media about the policy of removing cars from the street. A lot of people say that it gets ignored, that we don't enforce it. And I wanted to point out that it's an ordinance that's enforced by the police that coordinate with the Public Works Department as needed. If they're on roads that they can't plow, and a lot of the smaller roads, it's impossible to plow with cars on them, they have to tow cars or make people move the cars. It's definitely something that's enforced. A lot of people say, well, I've never done it in front of my house. If it snows bad enough and the Public Works can't get down the road, I know it's an inconvenience. Some people are rude and don't move their cars. Ideally, they plow curb to curb. If there's cars out there, they can't do it. They can't be everywhere. It's impossible with limited resources to, move every car from the road. They do the best they can. And again, there's other emergencies that come along and other resources that have to be used, but the police and the Public Works are the ones that coordinate, and they do enforce it. People say, everyone knows that it doesn't get enforced. Be careful, because if it snows enough and they have to go everywhere, they do enforce it. I think it was 2 years ago, we towed a lot of cars, and we had a lot of people in this meeting room very upset about that, so.
It also slows the plows down
Yeah,
as well.
slows the plows down, and causes accidents.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think you said it right, it's as needed. So there might be roads, some of the bigger roads in Levittown, some of the drives especially, if most of the cars are off, the plows can get down.
Right.
And they'll just go around cars, and your car will get plowed in. It's, a well. And if the snow's still pretty deep or outside your apron, and you have to shovel a lot of it, maybe it's because your car was in the way and they couldn't get to your apron. So, that's one of the things you think about. So,
hopefully it doesn't snow again. So.
Right. Yeah. Knock wood. Yeah.
That's all I had.
Yeah. So thank you. I want to bring up. We talked about this last meeting, and I did touch base with Teresa Catalinas, who is the head of Catalina's Communications and does some public relations for the township, helping us out through the year. Does the 2 newsletters, for example, that we send out. She handles all those things. Does the Live Here, Spend Here profiles on businesses, photographs and stories about businesses every month. She does all those. So she did put in for an increase in the hourly pay that she was getting. And I brought up the last meeting, we wanted to have some discussion. I did reach out to her and I think kind of communicated with board members. And so at this time, I'll ask for a motion to authorize an increase to $70 an hour for Teresa Catalinas from Catalinas Communications for 2018.
I'll make that motion.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to add something to that,
Sure.
not to cut you short, but
No, that's fine.
before we hired Mrs. Catalinas, we did nothing. We relied on the news. I mean, Levittown now does a decent job. They do a really good job. And the Courier Times, that was the only method we had to get our news out there. Since we hired her, we've really been active on social media and getting our press releases and so forth. She does a really good job for us.
Yeah, and it's correlated well with the fact that, especially with Courier, they've been cutting back on staff so much
Right.
that I don't remember the last year. I mean, there was a while where every meeting we had a reporter here. It's been years since we've had that. Occasionally, if there's something big on the agenda, somebody shows up, but it's what they think is big, And so this helps us get our message out. It helps us, she'll write articles, she'll submit it to the Courier, and the Courier prints what she writes pretty much word for word. In fact, she used to work for them. So we can get our news out to them and not have to worry about someone misunderstanding it or just not reporting it because there's nobody here. And it's not like they call us and say, hey, what went on last night? I mean, we actually have had that in the past where if a reporter was somewhere else, I'd get a call the next day from the reporter saying, hey, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. Anything that, that you'd like in the paper, and we'd talk a little bit and something would go in. That hasn't happened in years. So that's, this is something I think it's good for people to know what's going on. It's a way for us to send out get our message out, as Mr. Dent said, social media, print media, et cetera. So, and the newsletters, like I said, which everybody, really enjoys getting. And I hear compliments all the time about the newsletters and how informative they are. She compiles all those and with the help of all the staff here, so.
Live Here, Spend Here.
And the Live Here, Spend Here, yeah, exactly. So, and lastly, talking about news stories, there was a news story about Verizon not being happy with the fact that we passed a privacy ordinance. One of their only complaint, really, actually the only thing they have a legal standing on in their mind, which we don't think is really true, but is that they say that when we voted on the ordinance several months ago, that we had made a change that they said was a major change and needed to be re-advertised, and therefore they're going to sue us and make us and get rid of it. Now, a way around that is just to advertise and approve it again, and then they have no case at all. Even though we don't think we did anything wrong, it doesn't really take much for us to do what I'm going to do right now, which is there a motion to authorize re-advertisement of the cable privacy ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Okay. All right, so we have the advertisement going out. And we'll look at that next month. Same ordinance as before. So, and with that, I want to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.